Because you just want to raise a child like all of us that is empathetic and cares and gives back. And that was your whole plan. You were going to do it the right way. Did it ever occur to you that you would try so thoughtfully and it wouldn't work?
Never.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the 9th episode of the Parent Pep Talk. Advice and understanding from experts, parents, and kids. I'm your host, Gary Carton, and today we're focusing on the concept of giving and how to raise kind and charitable kids. We'll talk about why it might be easier than you think to incorporate giving into your already busy life, what to do if you don't think you have the time, and a few simple and fun ideas on how to get started. And off the record, our panel of kids who are all generous and giving with their time answers a question about how to encourage your kids to do the same, and one mom takes one for the team by sharing a story about how her philosophy of giving back just didn't seem to be sinking in with her son. Plus, in honor of this episode, we're trying something a little new with our Safe Kids Tip of the Week. So let's get right to it. I can't think of a more perfect person to talk about this notion of giving and generosity than Natalie Silverstein. Natalie is a super smart and passionate advocate for family service. She's the volunteer coordinator of Doing Good Together, a nonprofit that works to make volunteering and service, along with daily kindness, easy for every family. She's the author of the new book, Simple Acts, The Busy Family's Guide to Giving Back, which I highly recommend, and she practices what she preaches, regularly volunteering with her family in New York City, which is where we caught up with her. So thank you so much for joining me on the Parent Pep Talk. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, Gary. It's so nice to meet you.
Well, this is a podcast about parenting, so we always like to start there. Can you tell us how many kids you have and what are their ages?
Yes, I have 3 children. My oldest is 18, going off to college next year. Yay! My son is almost 16, and I have a little one who's 11.
And how's that going so far?
You know, it's interesting. It's a funny journey. The way that you parent your oldest child is very different, I think, than the way you parent your youngest child. So I joke sometimes that I'm really not excited about going through puberty again for a girl, but it's all wonderful. We love it.
Awesome. Well, I know that one of the philosophies that you've raised all your children with is this notion of giving and service. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about why that's so important to you?
Sure, yeah. I love doing service with my kids. I think we create really wonderful, warm family memories and traditions. I think it's a great use of time. I think, there's science behind the fact that volunteers are healthier and happier and live longer, and kids who volunteer do better in school, and they do less risky behaviors. And I just think that kids that are raised like this have just tremendous character, and that will translate into the kinds of adults that they become.
Well, that's incredible. You're totally sold me. It's like you said, every parent wants their kids to grow up and be empathetic and to care and to give. What would you say to parents out there who say, I want to do it, but it's hard to get started or I don't have the time?
Right.
I'm sure you get that question all the time.
That's exactly
It's how to fit it in. Yeah, exactly. So what's the first step when parents want to get involved in something like this?
I think that this just becomes, for some parents, it becomes another thing on the laundry list, the never-ending list of things that you have to do, right? And we are very strapped for time. I think that understandably, people feel like there are other things that are a higher priority. My whole approach or philosophy to this is just start where you are with what you have, with what you're already doing. You don't have to go out and build a school in Africa. You know what I mean? You don't need to go on a big fancy service trip. You don't need to spend money. You don't necessarily need to give money if you don't have that to give. Everyone has something to give. Kindness doesn't cost anything. And so the way the book is structured and the way I like to recommend and suggest to people that they do this is just find pockets of opportunity, find moments in the way that you're going about your day with your kids and in the things you're already doing and planning. So you're already planning a birthday party. How might you incorporate some small act of kindness or service into the birthday party? I have a whole chapter on play dates that actually starts the book because for young children, really, a week doesn't go by without a little kid having at least one play date. So you can incorporate a little kindness activity, making cards for kids in the hospital or Valentine's, in February for the seniors at a local senior center, or in the summertime around July 4th, making cards for our active duty military. So I talk in the book a lot about using the seasons, using the school calendar, using your family milestones, your birthdays, your anniversaries, your, special day, Mother's Day, whatever it is. It can be a religious thing. It can be a secular thing. It can be the end of summer into the fall, and you always have a lemonade stand. That's like a huge family tradition. But you can make that lemonade stand benefit, Alex's Lemonade Stand, which is for childhood cancer, because September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. There's just ways to do this where, again, if you're being mindful about it, you're being intentional about it. You're not just sort of going through your days just trying to get by.
Which is normal for parents, because when you're a parent, a lot of times you're circling the wagons and you are trying to just get by.
Of course.
But what I love is you're saying with just a little bit more thought, it doesn't take that much more effort or time.
Things you're already doing. I never would want this to feel like a burden. It's supposed to just be the way that you're thinking about raising your kids and keeping it always in the back of your mind. Like, I'm going to the grocery store and my neighbor has a broken leg and can't get out and it's snowing. I wonder if they need something.
Right.
Maybe we should just go knock on the door and ask if they need something. There's, you can bake cookies and bring them down to the firehouse or the police station. This notion of like, oh my God, it's been a month or it's been 6 weeks or it's been 3 months. We haven't done any volunteer work. What am I doing? I think that comes off the table if you look at your calendar and you say, oh, in this 3-month period, Valentine's Day is going to happen. And then in the next 3 months, my kid's going to have a birthday. So I'm going to try and think about, they're having a pajama party for their birthday. I think maybe I'll ask for donations of pajamas to the pajama program instead of, for the birthday party. Or they can do a little activity where they make pillowcases and we can donate them to kids in foster care.
Did you have this idea before, or did you just come up with that off the top of your head right now?
No, those are things that
good. I was like, you're good, man. But you do seem very creative. And that's what I love about it is anything can be a way to give. It doesn't have to be, like you said, building an orphanage in Africa.
Of course. If you're having a pajama party and your kid's doing an arts and crafts project, why can't the arts and crafts project be something that you can donate? Because does anybody need to take more arts and crafts projects back to their home?
Yeah, you're doing them a favor. Right, exactly.
So, or a food, can drive around Thanksgiving, which is so obvious. So I even talk about a little list of things that you can do, random acts of kindness every day. Do you walk through a door and let the door slam in the face of the person behind you? No, you teach your kid that you hold the door. Do you thank the person behind the counter and use their name because you can see their name on the badge? Everyone likes to hear their name being said. That actually says to your kid, I see this person, I acknowledge them. They're deserving of my respect. Just these tiny little things that I think brighten somebody else's day. It's such a cliche. But one tiny little thing that you and your kids do might change someone's whole day. I
really love that because it makes it seem like everybody can do something. It doesn't have to be big. It can be something big or it can be small, but even the small things make an impact on the person you're helping and also make an impact on you. And what could be better than that? Right. So that's a great message.
Every person, no matter their age, no matter their socioeconomic status, no matter how much time they have, everyone can make a difference in helping someone else. And I think that's instinctively what every parent wants for their kid because that's raising empathetic and compassionate and grateful kids who become those things in adulthood.
And I love what you say about empathy being a muscle. I think that's a great line in terms of you need to exercise it, and the more you exercise it, the stronger it gets. And I think if there's one quality I think I've read that is the most important for leaders in the world, it's empathy.
Again, this is empathy, this is compassion, this is inclusiveness, opening our minds to other people's perspectives. All of these things, this all takes practice, right? We don't expect a kid to sit down at a piano and be able to play the piano or go up to bat and be able to hit the baseball. We absolutely, and we pay money to have other people teach our kids how to do these things. Right. So that because we think that those are important things for them to learn how to do. How is this less important? And the only way you can exercise your empathy muscle is to get out there and do something and volunteer in your community or do random acts of kindness or really just raise these things in your kids' consciousness all the time as you're walking through life. And I do think it starts to settle in. It starts to become a part of how they think and how they believe the world works, and it makes them kinder and gentler people.
One of the things I really like about your book and your message is that you're not just saying, go do this volunteer effort. That's a big part of it, but then there's also that communication and talking with your kid and really talking about issues that are kind of tough sometimes, but you don't believe in protecting your kids from that. You believe in educating them about that. And it seems like a great way to make a connection and help your kids grow.
Well, I talk a lot about sort of with young children, certainly opening up a conversation. And I think that language is really important. So, we live in New York City here. There are many people who are experiencing homelessness. And so I've been to a number of panels and I've heard from a lot of experts that it's really important to talk to our kids that This is not a permanent situation, that someone who is going through a hard time is experiencing that right now. And perhaps they need help from us and from others right now, but that there's always hope. It is not an us and them. I think that that's so important. So people aren't homeless, they're experiencing homelessness. People aren't poor or needy or impoverished. They are having financial struggles right now. And the hope is that they, with services, with kindness from others, will be able to pull themselves out of that. Again, this is, I think, how we all want our kids to be, right, in the world, that we're all the same. And service and acts of kindness are a way to talk about those things and have them be concrete and real. It's also making tremendous connections between people. Again, it's just a part of what you're already doing and how you're already living your life. So it's a mindset more than anything else.
Most definitely. And you do an amazing job of talking about this. And one of the stories you tell, which I really like in one of your philosophies, is if it doesn't seem like it's sinking in right away, stick with it.
Obviously, you're going to have situations where things don't go well. You know, the subtitle of the book at one point was going to be like Tales from the Trenches of Trying to Raise Compassion.
Right, I like that.
Because I have several stories in the book where it just didn't work out the way it was.
Okay, good, right.
And that's okay. Because that's how life is and that's how parenting goes. It doesn't mean that it was a failure. It doesn't mean that it wasn't worthwhile. And it certainly doesn't mean that it's not worth trying again. Maybe when the kid is older, maybe when there's a different opportunity that might resonate with them more. But I just really believe that every effort is worthwhile. Nothing is wasted in this area, in this zone, because every time you engage in this work with your family, you are just adding to this, sort of the moral and ethical character of your kids as they're growing up. And again, it's just the way that we go about the world. This is just what our family does. This is how we do it because we care about other people.
And I think an important message is that kids mature at different ages.
Right.
And it takes some maturity. So I love what you said about you start early and you incorporate it. And so when they're young, this is a part of their life and a part of your routine. What do you do for some parents who didn't start this when they were young,
Sure.
and now they want to get into it now and they want to kind of change the routine?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm on board. What should I do?
Yeah, never too early, never too late.
Okay.
That is literally, I think, at the top of one of my chapters. It's never too early and it's never too late.
Okay, great.
If you have a passion, if the kid has a passion, you can do a little noodling online and you can find something that resonates with them and is a way for them to give back. Do they love baseball? Do they love music? Do they love hiking?
Right.
There's literally something for everyone. Your kid loves to play soccer. I promise you that there is an organization that would be delighted to have your son or daughter raise money to buy soccer balls for kids who don't have. Don't, particularly with teenagers, don't view this as like a burden. Think, what is the opportunity here? Just what is it my kid can be doing that they can share with others? That's an act of service, an act of kindness. I think that just changes the whole dynamic. So I think it's just encouraging them to think creatively about the things that they're already doing and the things that they care about and that they're passionate about.
And if you could go back and give yourself as a parent one piece of advice, knowing everything you did, what would that one piece of advice be?
Wow. Don't be discouraged. I do have an 18-year-old and an 11-year-old. So for many of the parents, friends whose children are still small and their oldest child is 11, I have lived, I've seen this movie before, right? I've been through the tween years twice. It's hard, and you gain perspective when you've lived through it. Mm-hmm. And I think I would tell myself and I would tell others to just, stick to it, stay positive, don't give up. It's worth it. These are all really important values that we're trying to teach our kids, because at the end of the day, they're going to be good people and they're going to go out into the world and do great things, and that's what everybody wants.
Well, that's awesome. Well, it never hurts to have more kindness in the world, that's for sure. And you are
Amen.
A hero for not only caring, for doing this for your family, but for helping other families do it, and in such an accessible and easy way that makes it really doable. And so thank you so much for your time and for all your efforts and for you really taking on this mission. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Gary. This is really fun.
Before we get to our Off the Record segment, I wanted to let you know that the Parent Pep Talk is brought to you by Safe Kids Worldwide, an awesome nonprofit that works to ensure that all children, no matter where they live, can grow up safe from preventable injuries. This is an episode about giving back and caring about those around you. So this week I want to take the time to recognize Kim Herman, who is retiring from Safe Kids after 19 years of incredible work, and all the other Safe Kids coordinators, technicians, and volunteers, the nurses, police officers, firemen, paramedics, doctors, teachers, parents, grandparents, who give so generously of their time and talents to keep kids safe in your community and in so many other communities around the world. You are true heroes, and we're so grateful for all you do. And that goes for all the other amazing people of all ages, whether you volunteer for a nonprofit, find your own way to give back, or are just kind to others. You make the world a better place, and on behalf of everyone at Safe Kids, I just wanted to say thank you. Okay, so our next segment is called Off the Record, and here's how it works. We have a panel of kids who are going to answer your questions to try to give you a little insights into what your kids might be thinking. This week's question is from Ron.
Hi, this is Ron, and I have a question for the team panel. I like to go to a charity event with my family, and I've been trying to get my daughter to join me, but she just doesn't seem really interested. How can I get my daughter more interested in volunteer work? Thanks.
So we've got Zach, Emmy, Archie, and Elena. So you heard the question, so what do you think?
I think maybe getting involved in an organization that has a personal connection to you or your family can help the child see that it's of value to them to do service for that organization. Also, maybe incorporating their friends into the service projects could be a great way to get kids engaged, because then they are more motivated to do it if they see by example that other kids are doing so as well.
So when you go to the charity event or like the fundraiser, you could have them kind of make it into some sort of game so that this doesn't become work to them, it becomes fun for them. So you give them a job that makes them feel important and that makes them feel kind of really valued. And then that way they feel like they're more important and that they will want to do the job more, and they'll feel like just better about doing it overall.
Maybe you should tell them, think of all the things that you have, and giving back is one of the things that you can do and make the world a better place. And they'll think oh, I'm making the world a better place, I'm a superhero, which they are. And if they're really not agreeing, just convince them in a way that would make them feel special in the end, and that you did something good.
And how old are you?
I am 11.
So you guys are all amazing and have given back. Did you always want to give back? Was this always something where your parents were do it and you're great, I'm in? Or were there times when you were something, I don't feel like getting involved in that, or we did it last month, maybe we can take a month off?
It's kind of always been a thing in our family to do service. So since we started it from such a young age, it doesn't really feel like a chore. It just feels like something we just do as a family. We don't have dinner together every night, but we'll go do a service project once a week. Once it becomes sort of foundational, it's kind of easier to go with. So
yeah.
Once you volunteer a couple times, it won't feel like a chore anymore. It'll feel, I think, like this rewarding experience, I think, as it should.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you next. How does it feel to make someone else feel better, or to do some good in the world?
Archie and I both participate in a non-for-profit organization called Celebrate You that throws birthday parties for underprivileged children, and seeing the smiles on all the young toddlers is a very rewarding experience.
And what about for a parent who says, listen, my kid is not going to volunteer every week? Would you make them do it? Are there little things that they can do? What would you suggest to this parent, getting back to the question, in terms of how to encourage a child who might even want to do it but doesn't have the time or doesn't think they have the time?
Well, if the kid is saying, no, I don't want to do this, no, I've all of my after schools and homework and sleep, then they shouldn't think about what they're doing, what the time they're spending. They should think about what it's all gonna do in the end, what it's all gonna impact for maybe just one family, but you made that one family's day.
So what would you tell that parent to say to their kid in the exact words?
Don't think of it as work. Think of it as something that might impact somebody's lives.
That is such great advice. You guys are clearly off the charts amazing, and we really, really appreciate your time and your perspective today and everything that you do to make the world a better place on every other day. So thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks.
And now it's time for our Taking One for the Team segment. I kind of think of parenting as a team sport. Well, this is when one generous parent takes one for the team by sharing a personal story that might not paint their kid or their parenting in the best light, but it hopefully helps the rest of us realize that there are no perfect kids, there are no perfect parents, and that we're all doing our best. This week's story comes from Deborah.
Hi, everyone. This is Deborah here, and I thought I'd share a story with you about our parenting, my husband's and mine, with our son. It goes back to when he was in elementary school. We thought, hey, we want to get him involved in the community. We want to get him thinking about others, caring about where he lives and how life is around him, more than just himself. So we decided we'd do it as a family, and we'd go out and collect trash. So we picked a Sunday every month to do that kind of thing, and out we went. And we thought, yeah, this is great. He's going to see his mom and dad do this. He's going to stick with it because dad does it. He bends over and picks up the trash. Mom does it, son too. Well, it didn't go over too well. We'd ask him, Alec, are you ready to go out? This is the weekend we go out to get the trash and help the neighborhood out. You're kidding me. I don't want to do that. That's horrible. My husband and I thinking, what have we done wrong? How can we fix this? So in doing a little thinking, we try to think, well, what are some things he'd be interested in? Interest in animals. So we thought, oh, yes, we'll go down to the local shelter and do something down there. And he did show some interest. He said, oh, I'd like to walk dogs. Well, perfect. So we go down there, sign up, go through the training, and then we're ready to be assigned jobs. And they've already asked what you want to do. And they said, oh, we want to let everybody know we don't need any dog walkers.
Oh, no.
Crushing. Totally a bummer. Fallen face. He's done. That's it. Where do we go from here? So we tried different things over the time, and nothing seemed to stick.
So he just didn't seem like he was interested in doing it. It didn't seem like it was going to be a part of who he was.
Exactly. I thought this guy, he's not going to have anything to do with society. He's going to be a man living on his own on an island.
And how did that make you guys feel as parents?
Not good. And seeing we only have one child, even worse. And at that point, I just thought, this is going to break my heart.
Oh, man. Because you just want to raise a child like all of us that is empathetic and cares and gives back. And that was your whole plan. You were going to do it the right way. Did it ever occur to you that you would try so thoughtfully and it wouldn't work?
Never. And I must say, that was the one thing when our child was young and starting off in school, and teachers would say, he's doing great academically. And we said, well, that's fine, but what we really care about is he's a kind person and he wants to help others. So this really meant a lot to us. So you can imagine how crestfallen we were.
And so then, fast forward, did it ever change?
What was interesting to see was that you could see that he had a spark when it came to things about looking at how to help society as a whole. You know, getting into social issues that were coming up. And then before you know it, he wanted to go down to a march on the mall against gun violence, March for Women. But he was going by himself and heading out there. And he'd say he was meeting up with a friend and they were going to go do this. So that was inspiring.
So after all this time, he actually did find an interest, and so all this work kind of paid off, and there was things that he was interested in doing, and he ended up doing those on his own.
Exactly.
And
would
you ever have thought that the kid who refused to pick up trash would actually do something to try to, become a bigger part of the community that he's living in?
No. But here we were. All the pieces sort of started connecting. I mean, he really is someone who gets out there and wants to help out in the community in his own way, which is wonderful and all I can hope for.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that story. I know it's going to do a lot of good for a lot of other parents. We really appreciate you taking one for the team and for being clearly an amazing mom to your son and helping to raise someone that really cares about kindness and giving back to others. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that's the end of our show. Thank you so much for tuning into the Parent Pep Talk. If you liked our podcast, please subscribe for free on iTunes or on your podcast app, and also leave us a rating. If you didn't like it, I promise I'll try to do better the next time. I'd also love to hear from you. If you have any comments or questions for me or our team panel, or stories you'd like to share that would make other parents feel better, or ideas for episodes, please don't hesitate to email me at parentpeptalk@safekids.org or contact me on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram at Gary Carton. Have a great week, everyone. Remember, you're doing great, even if it doesn't always feel like it, and we'll see you next time on the Parent Pep Talk.